Hello, everyone. We are live on Ron's Garage. Welcome, welcome. I see everybody tuning in. Miss Ella Luna, how you doing, sweetheart? Angelique is in the building. Angelique is here with us. And don't call me girly. Don't call me girly anymore, May. No, she's talking to Devin. I know she's talking to Devin. And I have some wonderful friends that are joining us today. Some very old friends that are we haven't seen in several years, as it goes when you stop doing a show. And people are people's lives continue on. And Tina, hello Tina from Australia, welcome. Patricia, ciao. Ella Luna is fine. I'm glad to hear that, sweetie. I'm glad to hear that. Burchin, hello from Turkey. I love it when you guys all say where you're from, because I can have an instant reference. It's hard to remember where everybody is from. Patricia in Napoli. But I love being able to introduce everybody from where they're from and all. It's so cool. We have people all over the world. It's so great. Helene from the Netherlands and Rike from Denmark. Oh, Devin DeVasquez is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. She happens to be in the next room. Cindy from Florida, hello. So let me bring my my wonderful friends and guests in. I'm glad they could both join us today. They are actors and producers, and so let's just bring them in. Hold on. There's a lot of technical stuff that needs to happen here. I'm going to bring both you guys in at the same time. Let's see what happens here. Here we are. Mr. D.
What up, man? What's up?
This is DTeflon. Yes, I can hear you great. I'm glad you joined us. I'm glad you were able to find out how to get on here. Mr. DTeflon. Yeah. And Mr. Texas Battle. Texas Battle is on his way to the airport. He's joining us.
Texas.
Can you guys see each other? I don't know if you can. All three of us can see each other, but maybe
I can only see you.
Only see me. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I only see you.
So all three of us are on the screen. We're all split screen, and you're all visible there to everybody.
Okay.
So it's cool, and we can just talk like this. They can hear everybody that's going on. So
wait. I actually can see him now. On my other phone, I can see him. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now we're good. Now I can see everybody.
Cool. There'll be a little delay, so make sure your volume's down on your other phone.
Okay.
So Texas Battle in the middle of your screen here. Texas was on Bold and Beautiful. Texas, you can pull the phone back a little bit if you want.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. Texas was on Bold and Beautiful as, if I remember correctly, it was Marcus Forrester.
Correct.
And I got to ask, how was Marcus related? Tell everybody how Marcus was related to the Forrester family.
Well, I remember when I first came onto the show. My birth mom is Donna Logan.
I can't hear him.
And
Or either
Donna
of you.
Logan was married to your dad.
Okay, hold on a second. I got to get D back in here with the volume.
Okay.
You don't hear anything, D?
Now I can hear you, but I can't hear Texas.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, he's completely silent.
Oh, that's weird.
Now you're gone. Now you're back. Yeah, now you're back, but he's completely silent.
I think that might be on your end, not ours, because you both are totally up and going with me here. So check
Can
your.
you hear him?
I can hear him fine. Yeah.
I can
Check
hear you
your
perfectly.
connection.
I just can't hear him.
Oh, that's so weird.
Because I can hear you perfectly, but I just can't hear him.
D, try logging out and logging back in again. Let's see if that brings you in with both connections. All right, we'll see if we can get him back, because he can't hear you, but he can hear me. And usually everybody can hear each other just fine. So he'll log out and come back in. You can hear me fine, right?
I hear you fine. I just hear you, Ron.
Yeah. He was only hearing me too, but we should hear both of us at the same time.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So he's logged out. He's logged out. He's going to log back in, and then we'll try this again.
Okay.
Here he comes
as long as
in.
as long as I hear and see you, then I'm fine. I don't want to touch anything and mess it up.
Okay, now D's logging in, and he is with all of us, so you can hear Texas now. Texas, say something here.
Yo, Teflon, what's up, man?
Texas, what's up, man? I can hear you all good. You're good.
Okay, good.
I hear you now.
Texas, just back the phone off just a little bit, because you got your earphones in, right? Oh, you don't have the earphones in.
No, I can.
Do you have those little guys? I think that'll make it a lot easier for you.
Mine are big guys, but
Do they have a microphone on them?
Oh yeah, I'll come in now. Yeah,
okay.
My lady just gave me some.
Yeah, that'll make it a lot easier for you to hear.
What I'll do is left, right.
So D, what's going on? I haven't seen you. I hate to say we meet these days at a friend's memorial, but that's kind of the way life goes sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it was. Yeah, I mean it's that day. It was a very somber day that I wish never happened.
Yes, we all do.
Never happened.
We all do. Kristoff was was just an amazing spirit that we've all known for many years. It's unbelievable, but I don't have any words either.
Agreed.
I still sometimes feel his presence in many ways, because he was such an impact on my life in so many ways. But the only thing I can do is just try to live his spirit, even though he's gone, but try to live his message of love and light that he put out to the world, to try to put that back tenfold.
Absolutely. Everybody, we're talking about Kristoff St. John, who is an amazing spirit person. He was on The Young and the Restless for I don't know how many years. I mean, most of the time I've known about the show, Kristoff has been on there. He grew up on that show. And we lost him for some stupid, cancer stuff. So that's the last time Dee and I saw each other. So
I'm glad to see you're now on a happier occasion, not on a somber one.
Absolutely. And so
I'm missing my scarf though. I was gonna wear one for you just for you today.
Where are you? Are you
Texas,
Are you in Florida?
Yeah, Florida. Yeah.
Where about in Florida?
Sarasota.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're on the West Coast then.
Mm-hmm. Texas, where are you heading right now?
I'm going back to the airport, man. I'm going towards Houston.
You're going home?
Yeah. going there now. No, home is Austin, but yeah, I was born in Houston, coming
Were you
from
just
Matagorda, Texas.
big vacation or filming?
No, just a little small little vacay there.
Getaway?
Yep. Hmm.
He's got a family of
How you?
about 6 people with him. He's got his producer and his manager and his girlfriend and their whole family. He's got everybody with him.
Yeah, here you go.
Texas, what have you been working on?
What?
Yeah, go ahead, D.
I was actually just watching Texas this morning. Actually, Hard Kill
Oh yeah, good man. I'm glad you saw that.
with Bruce Willis and Jesse. It was just on this morning, so I was just watching it.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you saw that, man. Yeah, Hard Kill dropped, man. August 25th. It's out now. It's doing very well on video on demand. Yes, with Bruce Willis and Jesse Metcalf, man. So I'm glad you checked that out, brother. It really means a lot to me. Appreciate it.
So everybody knows both of these gentlemen are actors, and I know D is a producer as well, and a musician, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What do you play mostly? What's your instrument of choice?
Well, I did professionally for about 20 years before I got into the film industry. I was a drummer, and then I did piano, and then I did trumpet, and I competed all around the world, like Hawaii, Japan, different places performing. But now it's more like I do it for fun, even though I don't do it as competitively as I used to. But every once in a while, I'm always down for a jam session. So for now, like I've been doing, crossing over into writing again, like performing, because that was always the passion too of mine, to like perform and write music. And so I actually put out a single, an EP, which you can actually check out right now on my website. If you guys are on there, you can log on to DTeflon.com. The single is called Air of the Night. It was actually a song that I wrote, tribute to Kristoff, after he passed, and it's got a lot of meaning into it. So hopefully you guys will log on and let me know what you think.
Now, give the actual website of DTeflon, because I have D-Teflon.
No, it's DTeflon.com.
Okay.
Or you guys can follow it on my Instagram, which is Instagram at DTeflon. Both of them the links are on there on my website and also on my Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram, just click the bio, and you can just click the link, and then it will take you right into the website, and the single's right on the main page.
All right, so there's no hyphen between D and
no
Teflon.
Hyphen.
Okay.
No, just DTeflon.com.
Okay, I'm gonna do a little fancy editing right here, right now, and there we go. So people, can you guys see that scrolling underneath? I don't know if you have a computer. Maybe you can't see it.
No, not him.
Okay. Anyway, the people that are watching this all over the world can see your names going by. Okay, you guys have probably the two most unusual names of many of my friends. D, I gotta ask, where is DTeflon from? Is that your given name?
No, given name, whatnot, is the first name is Derek, but I don't use that anymore. I haven't used it probably since I was a kid. It was given to me by somebody I was once close to, due to the fact of all the things that I've gone through in my life. And for some of you who have been following me probably since back in the MySpace days, you know that my life has been a bit of a roller coaster in my personal life. But
that was a question that was asked for me.
Yep.
I'll get it. I'll do that after D gives his explanation here. D, can you do something for me? Can you put your phone? Can you change your position of your phone to put your face a little higher on the screen? Is that possible?
Don't know. Let me see if I can. Hold on.
Just rock it back a little bit so that.
Can you see me now?
I can still see you, but you're in the bottom third of the frame. If you can put it so you're higher somehow.
Because I have it on this mount. That's why. Hold on.
Okay. Maybe
Better?
just tilt the phone. No, just tilt the phone forward on the top somehow.
Okay, hold on.
There you go. That's better.
Okay.
Because I put
Yeah.
people's messages, because I'm seeing a whole list of questions and people are commenting on the right. And sometimes I put them up and I don't want it to obscure your face when I put the message up. Okay, so yeah, Brian Liss had asked about doing the movie Texas with Bruce Willis. How is it to have been able to work with Bruce Willis in multiple different movies? Are you seeing that or no?
I see it. Texas, that's for you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can hear us.
It's freezing up here.
Yeah.
He's driving. The reception might be a little, or else he's absolutely stunned by the question and he can't even move. Oh, you can't hear us, Texas?
We're going a different way than we came?
No, this is the same way we came. We just haven't got to Brazoria yet. It's the outskirts of Houston.
Oh, okay.
We're still in the rural areas. It might be a little spotty for the next few miles.
Yes.
We're watching Texas,
can you hear us?
Driving. Can you hear us, Texas? Can you still hear us? He may be going through a rough spot. He was going through a rough spot before we started the broadcast, but are you there? Cool.
Let me try to get back in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't hear you guys. Here, let me try to get back in this.
Texas, I should have told him to log out and log back in. Yeah, he's going to do that.
How are things been for you, man, over in Italy? I saw you're filming a new movie over there.
We just finished yesterday, 2 days ago. We finished filming after 28 days of solid.
What's the film about?
It's a romantic comedy that we wrote, and we've been working on it for the last year. The year of pre-production stuff, and then the whole month of September and into October we were filming. So we just finished 2 days ago, which was amazing. It was very intense, just getting anything done. Dee, have you ever been to Italy?
A very, 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 very long time ago.
Working in Italy is always a challenge.
Okay.
Always a challenge, just because it's. Here, let me bring Texas back in here.
But how was that during the COVID situation? Like, how did you guys even pull that off?
You had to do certain things. Texas, are you with us again? Are you with us?
He's there, but he's frozen again.
Yeah, I think he's going through a weird area. Hopefully he can. But we had to have everybody in the cast and crew checked. Everybody had to be checked for coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Go into the hospital. I had to take all the actors in and all the crew in the hospital, have them checked and certified that they were clean and all this stuff. It's a bunch of bullshit.
Trust me, man. I'm not looking for. I mean, we've been shut down on production on Dorner since March, and like we're planning on getting back into filming we're hoping right now January, but just of all the protocol stuff that they're like telling us what we got to go through, what we got to do, it's just like it's been a mission, man. Like for example, for shows like Bold and the Beautiful and Y&R, it's a lot easier for them just because of the close shooting aspect and it being in an actual studio and limited cast. And it's not where you guys are shooting outdoors, but when you're trying to shoot in an action show, like an action series television show, this is where we're trying to like figure out like, okay, like how are we doing this? Because I mean, if any of you guys are familiar with the Christopher Dorner story, if you don't, look it up, Google it. We're trying to figure out like we've got heavy action scenes in the last like 2-3 episodes. And we haven't even shot that stuff yet. And trying to figure out like how we're going to do this. Right now, it's pretty mind-boggling for me on even trying to think about it. And just the fact of all the protocols. And so that's why I'm like curious on how you guys were able to pull it off in Italy, which was a high rate of COVID in the early stages. I mean, you've been out there for a while. So what was the adjustment for you guys, like for you as an actor, trying to navigate through this new world of filming in COVID-19 era?
Well, D, I don't know how you feel about the political aspect of the COVID and all that, but
All bullshit.
I happen to know that it's complete bullshit what you just
Yep.
said. But everybody is treating it like it's viable and it's a real horrendous pandemic and all. So when you're dealing with legalities of stuff, we have to go through certain protocols as well. And we did that. We did that to the best of our ability here in Italy, because they were hit. They were presumably hit very hard. They said it was much worse than it was. People in Italy are finding out that it was not the way they said on the news, so that's good. But we still have to go through all the protocols. So we had everybody tested every 2 weeks, and we did all that stuff. D, let me ask you quick.
Yep.
Can you turn your phone on the what do you call it, landscape mode? Let me see if it changes for you. Would that work for you? Just switch it landscape.
Let me see. Go on.
There you go. Yeah, perfect.
Hold on.
Perfect.
I think I turned the volume down.
Yeah, that's good. It's a better look when it's in the landscape mode. Yeah. You still hear me the same way?
Yeah, hold on. Just trying to straighten it out on my end here, so I'm not looking crooked. Better?
Yeah. I like that. That's good.
Okay.
And you can just.
I think we lost Texas again.
Yeah, he's going through a weird connection area, but hopefully he'll log in again.
No, like, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, for me, I don't know if you knew, when I was traveling with Catherine, Kelly Lang, and Greg Ricart, we did an appearance back in December out in Canada, and I ended up getting COVID literally like right after we came back. I was laid out for 2 months. Greg ended up getting it probably about 3 weeks later. And which is the ironic part about it is that, like, I was with Catherine way more of the trip than I was with Greg. And I always say she's like Superwoman. Like, I feel that if it wasn't for her never ending marathon running, triathlon stuff, and all her health. So that's why I tell people, I said, you know what? Like, the virus, 100% real, because that shit was one of the worst things I've ever experienced in my life. But the scamdemic, 2020, to me, it's gotten to the point now that it's like we're talking about masks, we're talking about lockdowns, we're talking about this, but there's been no talk about what we're actually doing to move forward. And I say to people, number one, the only way that this shit ends, where things go back to, I wouldn't say normal, but go back to a situation where we're not living in this whatever crazy world we're living in right now, is if we just stop talking about it. Like, we just go about your lives and you do what you were doing before. Because, as I've said before to people, if the media never told you to be afraid, you wouldn't be afraid. If the media didn't tell you that this virus was so deathly, you'd be going about your business as you would be every day.
Absolutely.
But right now, it's like when everyone's at home, glued to their television, glued to their phones, glued to whatever area that they look for their social feeds, it's constant. I mean, literally, you turn on the news, if it's not coronavirus on the news, it's Trump. If it's not Trump, it's Biden. If it's not Biden, it's Hillary. It's the same situation going around in a circle. And it's like, to me, people, number one, are feeding into this whole, I'm for mask, I'm not against mask. And my whole point is, at the end of the day, there's one thing that we all have universally as human beings that will never, ever, ever change. We all die. and we only get one life. And it's like I take prowess in the sense of after Kristoff died, that life is so short, and you only have one opportunity to live out your best life. So whether you're for a mask, whether you're against the mask, who gives a shit? Just do you, take care of the people that you love, live your life, and focus on things that, make you happy. I always say, though, 2020 is a year that needed to happen. Because if you look at the way that the world's been going the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, in this fast pace of things just constantly happening, constantly happening. But I say to people, like, you know what? 2020 is a year. What does 2020 mean to you? What's the definition of 2020? Clear vision. When you think of 2020, you think of clear vision. And I tell people it's a time for people to open their eyes, to see what's going on around them, to see what's in front of them, see what you're for, what you're against, but most importantly, figure out for yourself the life that you're living. Is it what you want to be living right now? Do things you've never done before, try things you've never tried before, experience things that you've always wanted to do, but we always sit there and say, well, I'm busy. It's like when people say, for example, sure to you, you have people in your life and you have a busy life. I got a busy life. Everybody's got a busy life. But when we met up, we saw each other last at a funeral where everybody's gathering together for Kristoff to show that love. And people always said the same thing at funerals. I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time with the person that I love. But I always tell people, you have time. You just have to prioritize what's important to you. That's why for me, like, Kristoff was my lifeline in so many ways, as a brother, as somebody that pulled me out of some of the darkest moments in my life. And to me, if I take anything that he used to say to me that I try to pass on to people, is that, you know what? Make the most of the life that you got. Not the life that you wish you have, but the life that you have. Because we didn't think a year ago, we would never have thought something like coronavirus would have completely just came and destroyed the world the way that it has.
D, what you're saying is really, really important, and I want you to continue. Can you tilt your phone a little bit, because all we're seeing is the Celtics shirt. I want people to be able to see you while you're.
Okay, can you see me now?
You're still your head's still cut off. There you go. That's better. There. Yeah.
Better? Okay.
Even a little more. Even a little more. I want people, because what you're saying is so important, and it's very true. Of 2020, I'm hoping that 2020 is a year where people have more introspection and are able to enjoy their life more. Yeah, if tilt it just a little bit more, so that your whole head is in there. Is that possible?
You see me now?
It's still kind of the same. It hasn't changed.
Hold on. Let me try to lift it up. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Uh-oh. He just disengaged himself. I've lost both my subjects here. Oh, God. I know that Texas is probably going through a horrible cellular section with the airport. He's traveling. He's got to travel about 2 hours, apparently, to go to the airport, from what he said before we started. But I'm seeing you guys' messages, and they're right on. And I didn't see who said that the. Let me bring D back in. Hold on. There we go. Now turn sideways. There we go. You're still. Hopefully, it will transfer over sideways. There you go. Somebody said the virus is very real. Yes, the virus was and is real, but the media, when we talk about the bullshit part of it, is the media's reaction and the media hype of it. We've had flus and things before. We have flus every year, and we've never had the world shut down because of a flu. And now the media has made the world shut down and has put fear into people. That's what Dee was talking about. There's such fear involved with the masks and the constant people telling people have died every day, hundreds and thousands of people dying every day, when they are not dying in the numbers that they're giving. And that's something
this is
that,
the thing.
yeah, keep going, because what you're saying was very important.
When you talk about the numbers and the sense, and I mean, I personally even hate even talking about this in general, but like from day one, these numbers everywhere you hear, this place is going up, that place is going up, this place is going up. There has not been, hold on, there we go. There has not been one, can you see me?
We're back.
Or am I dropping?
Not yet. Your head's still gone here. Keeps
Sakes,
changing.
This thing is like, okay. Better?
Let's stay there.
Okay. Yeah, what I was saying, when you talk about these numbers, the only person that's been talking about these numbers from day one have been politicians. You have not heard one real medical professional go up there and say, okay, this is happening. And for someone that was there in the hospital, seeing what was going on, I can tell you firsthand that people, number one, that were coming in there when I was there for 2 months. It didn't matter whether you had a cold, didn't matter whether you were sick with anything. COVID-19. Why? All these hospitals are privately funded. They're not run by the government. They're all privately funded by boards, doctors, private funders. So when there's any bit of a pandemic, doesn't matter whether it's SARS or the swine flu, any of the major pandemics that have came out over the last several years, when you have any bit of a pandemic in that situation, in order for a hospital to get funding, real funding, they've got to raise their numbers in a pandemic. So when a pandemic happens, whatever hospital has the highest numbers is the hospital that's getting the budget. So that's why when you see the certain areas that you, even for example in New York City, you have certain hospitals over here that were higher cases, and other smaller areas where they say people were more dying, was because of the simple fact was, when you're scrolling through your social media feeds every day, seeing COVID-19 numbers, what are people doing? They're not actually clicking and actually reading the article. They're just clicking the share button and sharing it. So when you talk about the media spreading the scamdemic, you got to think of it this way. The media cares more about putting shit out first than putting shit out accurately. And us as entertainers who are in this business, I know you know this, Ron, as well, like, they always love a good story. They're never about promoting or putting out the positive spin on something. It's always the shock and awe that's going to get people to click and read.
Of course.
So when you have a story, for example, a guy who has, like for me, I have underlying conditions myself. So I'm more at risk and more affected by a pandemic like this because of other things that I've dealt with health-wise. But when you see, for example, a story of John 52 dies of coronavirus, most people won't even actually click on the article. They'll just share it. But if they actually clicked on the article and actually read the article, you would see that John from Missouri has heart condition, some other illness that he was dealing with. But at the end of the day, what's going to sell more papers? What's going to sell more media press? John 52 from Missouri dies of heart failure, or John 52 dies of coronavirus? That's what you're going to be paying attention to. The guy who's died of coronavirus. And then they continue
and the coronavirus,
to keep spreading.
The hospital will get more money if they list coronavirus.
Exactly. So this is what's
We had friends that lost an elderly parent, and the hospital actually lost the elderly parent because of a heart attack or some other condition. And the hospital actually came to them and said, "We will pay for your father's funeral if you let us put coronavirus as the cause of death."
Mm-hmm.
And that's been going on in mass, because they'll get a massive amount of money if it's coronavirus as opposed to another condition of some sort. And so the numbers have just skyrocketed because of that. Brian, let me put this on. I don't want, it's going to obscure your face for a second, but he asked, can D describe the symptoms he had? Because I had shortness of breath issues from October 2019 to February 2020. But people were curious what symptoms and what it felt like for you to go through that.
All I can say was that, hold on, this damn fucking thing. Hold on.
It won't stay there. It won't stay in what you can't lean it up against something.
Yeah, hold on.
Sometimes if you put a little something.
It stays when I put it this way, but hold on.
Oh, okay. Sometimes you have to just put a little something underneath the bottom of it just to hold it there. Because what you're saying is so important. I want people to be able to actually see you speaking and all.
Do you see me now?
Yeah, if you could just come down just a little bit so that your head's more towards the top third of the screen.
I don't even see myself now. Hold on.
Oh, you don't?
There? No, okay, now I do.
Yeah, you're good there. That's
okay,
good.
Okay.
That's good. Good. Cool. So what were you feeling when you actually went through this?
The best way that I can describe it to people, I've actually been writing a 50-day, because I was 50 days that I was laid out. And I've actually been writing for my blog like every day. Like I had written like everything that I had gone through from day one, and when I first started feeling it. But the easiest way that I can describe for anybody the pain that it was like having, if anyone's familiar with the back in the day of WWF, Yokozuna and King Kong Bundy sitting. He was a wrestler.
Okay.
He weighed over 500 pounds.
Okay.
So it felt like you had a 500-pound person on your chest,
wow,
on your back, because literally for me, the energy to even brush my teeth, get up and go to the bathroom, it was like I ran a marathon. I had literally zero energy. Went from breathing aspects of barely being able to feel like I was breathing. Like it was crushing my lungs on every aspect of. It was so hard where I eventually had to go on a ventilator because I was like I couldn't breathe. And then headaches, paranoia. I started to basically get a little bit delusional after like the 15th day. I actually started like seeing things like, and again that was a heavy time for me emotionally. Just of course, still reeling over the loss of Kristoff. So I started. I mean, legitimately, I was seeing things like they were like real. That hallucination that they say.
Okay.
A lot of pain throughout my body, aches, headaches. Everything you could think of, man. As I said, I don't wish that thing on anybody. Like anybody, number one, that has gotten it full blown, they'll tell you it sucks the life right out of you. Like it's not like it's like, because even when I first went in, they had diagnosed it first because it was in the early stages. It wasn't the worldwide COVID-19 thing yet, because I got it fairly early before it went media wide. And it went media wide mainly because of the fact was that when that cruise ship that was stuck somewhere out on sea, some Canadians were on it, some Americans were on it, and of course, anything that's on Canadian television is smaller to American television because there's so many more networks in America. So if something happens with a Canadian, per se, who's on board or something, people are like, why is this boat being trapped out to sea for 37 days? We don't know why this treat. And then eventually the US media picked it up and then it went viral. And then, so when I first went in, they were like, it's pneumonia. And I was like, I've had fucking pneumonia before. This was no pneumonia. Like, this was something worse because my fever the first week, which was the day that I was with Catherine, it's probably about like maybe about 101. And I thought that was just due to the fact of we had been doing press and doing the event for like 4 days. So I didn't sleep. I was traveling on no sleep whatsoever. So I just, figured it was exhaustion. I didn't know what it was because, I mean, again, I didn't know what COVID-19 was or coronavirus. And then probably into like the third or fourth day, my fever kept going up and going up and going up. Then I went into the hospital. They checked me in. They were like, you're really low hydrated. So they put me on an IV drip, got some fluids back into my system, and then they sent me home. 2 days later, I was like sweating like so much that it felt like I was shedding pounds, how much I was sweating. And you go from like 1 minute you're like high fever where you're sweating, to the next minute you're shaking, you're cold, like chills at nighttime. And then eventually after that, the breathing started making it worse, like walking, getting up the stairs, to do anything it was really, really tightening. And as I said, for me, I've dealt with health situations in my past. So for me, it's going to be a lot worse for someone like me.
What were your
someone
issues
that,
before?
like, for example,
You had some pre-existing conditions or something?
Yeah, I got stabbed in 98 in a street fight, and it messed up my insides pretty badly. So
Wow.
I've always had issues because of that. But the thing for me it was like, okay, I'm pretty active, at not as much as I used to be. But as I said, it was really weird for me going, like, Catherine, after that trip, I called her and I was like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm a little bit run down, but I'm fine. And her, I think, as I said, being in the excellent condition that she always is in, because you know how much she's always doing things, always running marathons and on the bike with Dom and et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, okay. Then Greg ended up announcing that he got sick, and I was like, okay. I think it really boils down to on how well you take care of your body prior to this whole situation. If you're an active person, you're probably going to bounce back a lot quicker. Me, I'm not that active as I used to. Plus the underlying conditions, it made my situation a lot worse. So all I tell people, number one, with the situation is that do your diligence when you're out. If you're going to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you're when they say 6 feet, like for me, do I always wear a mask? No. If I go into a private store and that store says you have to come in here with a mask on, don't be a douchebag. It's their private store. Respect it. Come in there, get what you need, and get out. If you're social distancing, understand. I was already social distancing before it was a hashtag. Just because for me, I'm a private person in my personal life. So I'm not around a lot of people to begin with. But even when I'm out, I'm trying, which is what's mind-boggling to me, the nonsense that from the get-go. Keep your distance. Wash your hands. Ask yourself this question. If someone needs to tell you to wash your hands before this pandemic, then you seriously have some issues. Because I don't know any person that doesn't wash their hands in general. If you're out in a public setting, if somebody was this close in my face and I don't know them, there'd be a problem. Because again, why would you be coming that close in general to somebody in the get-go? So you're already going to be 6 feet. Normal people would be going about their business 6 feet. If I walked up to Ron and got up in your face, I didn't know, you'd be like, yo, dude, why you up in my face? And what this whole thing is about, even the lockdown. The lockdown's not about numbers, because we understand we've done that. We've been in lockdown since March. We've did this thing for now 6 months, and it hasn't shown any major difference other than the economy taking a hit and people, number one, doing what they do, being puppets. Because understand, it's just like, for example, we're in this divide right now in the country. Trumpers, non-Trumpers. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's sitting in that office. It doesn't matter who's sitting in that chair. The people that are in power don't make the rules. The legislation of the laws, that's what makes the rules. These are people that are put in front of our faces every single day to basically tell us, do this and do that. And if you find in society, majority of people, number one, what I like to say, we have a lot of sheep mentality, not a lot of lion mentality, in the sense of wolves. Because more people will rather be told what to do than be put in the position of power to have that responsibility, to have all that weight on the show. It's like for you being a lead actor when you were on B&B driving that show. It's a lot of pressure. If you drop the ball, the rest of the show falls. If you're in a lead movie and you're the lead actor of the film, or you're the director of the film, it's your job to lead everything forward. But most people don't want that responsibility. That's why you see most actors in the early stages, and when we first started in this game, you could just be actors. Now the game has changed. You got to be actors, directors, producers to have longevity in your career, because the business, it changes all the time. The same way with power. It changes all the time. You could put Trump, you could put Obama, you could put Reagan, you could put Hillary, you could put whoever in that chair. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, we as the people, we decide really in reality our lives. Because at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, even for you living on this earth, Ron, as long as you have, whether you vote, whether you don't vote, for every situation that you've been in your life, every bad situation. So for example, we were both at Kristoff's funeral. Was the president at Kristoff's funeral? Was he?
The president of the United States?
Was he at Kristoff's funeral?
I didn't see him. Did you?
No, because he wasn't there.
No.
When you got your first job at B&B, was that a result of your hard work and your talent, or was it with the result of a president? It was a result of your hard work and your talent. Everything that happens in life, in the sense, number one, that I have gone through, it has never been anything to do with who's in power. That's why I don't get involved in politics. I don't care what they do, because at the end of the day, it doesn't affect my life. I am still going to go out there and do what I have to do to live my life. And that's what people need to start doing in order for this shit to end. To go out there and stop living your life, stop going on social media and bickering and fighting and battling of this and that, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. We all die. We all only have one life.
I think what you're saying about, you mentioned before this year, 2020 being so important, and I think that's an important message of people just spending the time to enjoy your life and have a happy life. Get off social media a little bit each day. Don't be obsessed with it. And for me, my main message would be stop listening to the mainstream media. They're making the world crazy with the messages and the hate and the stuff that that they're promoting. I want to say this to everybody that's listening. I don't feel like we have an issue, a pandemic of racism in the United States. I don't feel we have that at all. I don't know any friends that are racist. I don't know any friends that were racist. I haven't lived a life of that at all. I have friends of all different persuasions of everything, including genders and all, and we're all getting along great. But the news constantly promotes the they want us to be separated by gender and identity politics. And I don't believe that's actually going on with the world. But the news keeps hammering us with this information to the point where people are getting crazy and people are thinking we have a real racist problem in the United States. Maybe there are circumstances that happen, but I don't think it's a pandemic of it. I think most people get along great, but you don't hear about the people getting along great. You hear about the stuff that, the couple of problems that happen, like the one building that's burning in the city. That's what the news is going to show you, and it makes it look like the whole city's on fire. The one incident that happens, they're going to show you that one. When the 99 and 9/10 and 999% of the percentage of stuff is fine. But we are so affected by the news now that it's hard to get away from it unless you literally stop listening to all that stuff and start living your life, just like you said.
Well, I mean, as I said, when it comes to the racism issue, I've dealt with it my whole life. And I've never been a person that's tried, other than the situation that about, shared a couple of weeks ago that happened with me in the mall. That, for me, was the very first time I publicly ever had to speak on something. Because it wasn't about even a black issue. It was an issue in the fact that shit is going on. And that's been going on for a long period of time. And the thing when it comes to the racism situation, even when it comes to politicians, because you have politicians that will go on the news and they'll say, just like you said, we don't have a racism problem in my city, or I don't know about a racism problem. And the thing is, when people say that to me, it's usually people, number one, who are of the opposite skin color of me. So you're not going to have that problem because you're not in my situation, or people that look like me in my situation. The difference is that we can't turn a blind eye to it. It's been going on for decades. It's going to be going on when I'm no longer here. So the only thing that we can do right now, and as I said, right now, if this wasn't 2020, where we weren't at home, glued to our phones, glued to our TV, all the things that you're seeing on the media, all the things that you're seeing in your face every day, you'd be oblivious to it because you'd be at work, you would be taking care of your families, doing whatever you got to do. So it wouldn't cross the radar on your radar screen as much as it's doing right now. And to me, right now, shining a light on it is not a bad thing because people have been blinded by it for so long. Are they doing it in a way that is constructive? No. But on the other hand, as I've said before, sometimes you have to stir a little chaos to bring change.
Well,
Nothing has ever happened. Yeah.
Let me ask you, you've been around the entertainment industry for so many years, and you have a
26.
lot of friends in all different capacities of the business that we have been doing for many years. Other than your experience a couple of weeks ago, which you told me about, have you in general experienced like a massive amount of feeling of racism against yourself? Or has it been a very small percentage that it's irritating and you can't stand it when it happens? None of this can happen. I've had certain things happen to me as well, but the percentage in comparison to all my friends and all, I know we all love you, and we have a lot of friends in common, and I've never known anybody say anything bad about you ever, or even I don't see your color. I don't see any of that shit. I don't see any of that. But I'm asking, is your experience in your life really great, or is it fortunately a smaller percentage, but it still happens sometimes?
when I was younger, where I grew up, where I was, a lot. It was heavy. But for me, it's what drove me into the business. It was what drove me to when people said, even in the get go, when they were like, because you're trained. I think when you're in this business, most people. I mean, there's not many people like us, Ron, who dabble in all spectrums. There's only a few that will stay on the. Some people just want to be actors, and that's all they do. But for me, I was always a person that said knowledge is power, and I already have a disadvantage against me because of the color of my skin tone. That's just period. That's just the way it is. But I can use it to my benefit in the sense of I can navigate through this crazy business with my brain and take the things and the experiences that I've gone through, even with racism growing up, saying, okay, I can use this as a person because I have friends, for example, who are of my skin color, and they're always like, when they lose a job or an opportunity doesn't happen for them, they're like, I didn't get this opportunity because I was black. And I was just like, you know what? When you keep pushing that narrative over and over and over and over and over again, either one or two things happen. Either people look at you as a problem and they view everybody in that race category as that problem, or it's you. You, number one, not believing in yourself that you're making this a problem for yourself. So for me, I was like, you know what? I know it's there. I know it's there. And I grew up with a lot of Italians. My friends used to call me Black Machismo growing up as a kid because I literally was around Italians my whole life. I did business with Italians. I was friends with Italians. I even dressed like an Italian at one point growing up as a kid. I had the Indian motorcycle gear and everything else, and I went through my phases. But it was more or less for me saying to myself, okay, I can use this as a way to get in because I had a business partner and he was black, but he was mixed. And a lot of times when I would come into a business meeting, you get the looks, you get the assumptions, you get, whoa. So I said, you know what? I'm going to navigate through this. I'm going to have my business partner, who was half black, but he didn't look black. I'd set up the meeting. He'd do all the talking. And that helped me navigate into certain meetings with people that I probably wouldn't have got the opportunity to because, again, there's just that stereotype. But once I was able to, I guess you would say, plant my foot in, I always had a plan. It's like a soldier in a mission. You have one directive to complete your mission, to get to the next mission. So for me, it was like, okay, I started off in music. When you hear music, it's the one thing, all of us. You're a musician, I'm a musician. Music, as what they always say, is the universal language of love. It resonates with everybody. There's everybody that has a song or a moment in time in their life when they hear a song that just hits that spot. It connects us. When something is going on, when you're feeling really, really down, you put music on. When you're feeling really happy, you put music on. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to entertain. I remember the first time I performed in Hawaii in the hula bowl game, and we did the hula bowl parade, and I was like drumming, and I remember like it was yesterday. It was 1993, and there was this little kid in the parade route, and he was there with his mother on her shoulders, and I had to do a drum solo, and the kid was like, "Mommy, look at how fast his hands are moving." And I stopped and I gave a little nod to the kid. But it was in that moment for me why it affected me so much because I'm going, you know what? In that moment, it wasn't about my color. It wasn't about it. It was about that this person saw something special that they enjoyed, and I was able to give that gift to somebody for that moment, for that kid to remember. And what made me say to myself, okay, I want to go to the next level. So it was like I went from music to the club industry. And then I started running nightclubs at an early age. And I did that for like 15 years, creating environments for people to come and de-stress and have a night out, have a drink, make a love connection. That was my next thing, saying, okay, it's not about black, because when you're in a nightclub, I've always said a nightclub was like Disneyland. You had different races from different organizations of people, black, white, Chinese. But what's the thing that connects them again? Music. You go to a nightclub, everybody's listening to music. They're not caring whether you're black, because we're all listening to the same shit and having a good time to de-stress. The 90s for me, as I said, it was a different time, because again, the racism was there. But for me, because I was always in a position, just like, for example, when you come into a position as yourself, as a musician, as an actor, as a public figure, suddenly people look at you in a different way compared to someone that is not in our business, because we put ourselves out there for the world to see. And you have to decide for yourself, because dude, this business isn't for everybody. Like, it isn't. You have to have a really tough skin, a tough mental prison to be able to control your thoughts, because when the cameras go on, you see that little red light blinking, you transform from Ron Moss to Ridge Forrester, and you try to sort of connect the two. But you're still Ron Moss when that camera goes off. So people grow up, when you're in the business, they love Ron Moss. They love DTeflon. But then when the camera's off, is that same love there? And that's where you find in our business the depression aspect of the business. Because we work and we push ourselves to keep working, because the biggest battle we have, I think all of us, maybe you can agree to this, all of us have as entertainers, is the moment when we're not working, those thoughts, that mental prison that you're in, going, okay, well, what's next? What's the next chapter for me? Where people, number one, they go to their regular jobs 9 to 5. They collect their paycheck every 2 weeks. They cash their check. They do it all over again. For us, there is no 9 to 5. Our business is 24/7. The real work is when you're not working. So for me, it was like the racism stuff that was always there. I was always just saying, okay, I'm dealing with this, but I'm so busy, I'm not gonna be that guy that focuses on the shit. Of course, I've had some situations. I mean, it's different in the sense of like where what I call the silent racism, where you work in a job and you bust your ass and you kill yourself and you've been there for 5-6 years, and some person that walks in off the street who is nowhere near qualified as you suddenly gets a promotion, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, that's where you see the silent. But again, for me, it was always like, okay, I get it. But one day, my whole thing is like, you know what? Keep underestimating me. Keep looking at me as the person that's the help, the black guy, the whatever. But again, I'm not going to let it stop me, because I have one mission to keep.
Let me ask you something. Yep. I'm curious about this. What you're saying. What you're saying is your experience, and I'm very curious about it, because for everybody watching D right now, everybody's feeling that you're a real. Tina goes, D is a real survivor. And multiple comments are going, D has such a wonderful positive energy. And you're very thoughtful. I know from years of knowing you how thoughtful and considerate, and you have a huge presence about you. You're a very articulate. You have an imposing presence when you meet this gentleman here in person. D, you have this wonderful, wonderful sort of big personality presence, even when
Thank
you
you.
don't even speak. You have a wonderful, wonderful energy about you. And I know you've been through a lot of shit. I know you've been through a lot of hell shit, a lot of stuff. And that has probably obviously made you who you are, helped make you who you are. But
Well, that's the reason when you go back to your first question of where Teflon came from, that is it. That was a thing that my one mentor used to say to me. He's like, "You've been through more shit that would have killed people. Literally, I've been stabbed. I've been shot at. I've gone through multiple health situations. But for some reason, this Teflon won't break." And that's when, for me, it was like, I Alliance Entertainment, and okay, Alliance was me gravitating toward different people from different walks of life, bringing them together. Entertainment is a big word. It's not just music. It's not just television. It's not just film. It's everything. But I'm like, what's my story? And that's when the whole Teflon thing started to grow. And it really grew probably back in the MySpace days when I wrote this blog that literally got over 2.5 million like subscribers, and it was called Love Is Not Enough. And I was going through a messy divorce situation after it happened, and I needed an outlet. And for me, writing and being able, number one, to release that energy was sort of where, for me as a performer, I mean, it's like for example, why I'm attracted to the series that we're working on right now, which is the Christopher Dorner story, because just like you were talking about with the media earlier, when we're talking about racism, anyone that doesn't know the Christopher Dorner story, Christopher Dorner was the LAPD officer that went on the 10-day rampage back in LA in 2012, and he killed a couple police officers. He killed some innocent civilians, and again, it was tragic, and it was very, very sad what happened to those officers. They were heroes, but all the things that you're seeing right now in the media, in the news, the divide, the police violence, all the shit. If you read Christopher Dorner's manifesto, everything that he said in that manifesto is happening today. And our story is going to be very different. It's almost, if you guys have watched the O.J. Simpson with John Travolta, my buddy John Travolta, who did that series on FX series, we all know the story. We all know what happened with O.J. We all know the verdict. But I've always said when it comes to life, there's three sides to every story: mine, yours, the truth. And in our story with Dorner, there's only one narrative. There's always been the police side of the story, not about the person, Dorner, a black man in the system, who was a person who was a war vet, came back and said, "Okay, I'm coming here to protect and to serve my community." And he saw an injustice by his superior officer who was training him, who kicked a schizophrenic man by the name of Christopher Gettler in the head. And when Dorner reported it to his higher ups, which you're not supposed to do in police code, he eventually had the wrath of God by his blue brothers put on him, and they forced him out of the force, and he lost everything. And then when he lost everything, he snapped. And this is the thing that I tell people. Number one is that, like, you have two spectrums of the world. All the things that I've gone through, don't get me wrong, I've had my past. I have, just like anybody else. I've seen things, I've done things, I've gone through things, and I had to make a decision. My life can either go this way or it can go this way. And coming from the life that I lived, the things that I experienced, I was in a gang at the age of 14 years old. Um, I went through a lot of shit in the system, in and out, as a kid. And I eventually had to make a choice. I was like, you know what? I can either take accountability and make the changes necessary to bring a different element where, because you got to understand, us as black men in America, in society, we're seen as three things, Ron. And it's been going on since the beginning of time. We're seen as criminals, athletes, or artists. You got hip hop rappers, you got basketball players, sports players, and you got criminals that are in the system. And understand that's the narrative that's been pushed out since the beginning of time. You don't see us in a position of executives. I mean, we both have worked through the halls of CBS, and you look at all the networks. There's not one black executive in any of those networks. Not one. And every time that something has been to happen in regards to changing that, you look at all the powerful people, you know, from Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby, Michael Jordan. Anytime that we are put in a position of greatness in the sense of what these people accomplished, they didn't accomplish greatness because they were black. They accomplished greatness because they put in the work every single day to be better, just like Kobe Bryant. He was one of the greatest basketball players that ever lived because he had the discipline and the mindset to say, you know what? I can live my life blending in, or I can stand out. So for me, it's like, when people sit there and say to me, okay, well, you're a larger than life personality, I don't really look at it that way. I just be me. I look at the things that I've gone through and the things that I've experienced. And the only thing I try to do is that I'm not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I always say to people, number one, everything in life that you do is a choice. It's a choice. You can either choose to be happy, you can choose to be miserable. You can choose to stay in that shitty relationship with somebody, or you can choose to get out. You can choose to fear a dream, chase a dream, or live a dream. The choice is up to you. So you have to decide for yourself at the end of the day, just like I said with 2020, this shit's going to end. 2020 is going to end. The pandemic is going to end. COVID-19 is going to end. Where do you want to be when this is over? And that's why for me, I'm like, from, you know, facing near death. And I mean, I've openly spoken about this. I mean, mental health is a real thing. I suffer from it. I've been suffering from it for years. And as I said, I mean, when Kristoff died, it took a piece of me because 4 years ago, I was in a really bad spot mentally. You know, things were great on the outside surface, but inside, all the things that I have gone through, they catch up with you because there's only. Yep.
Let me ask you a question that I wanted to ask before when I was talking about your presence and all. I'm very curious. Mm-hmm. How do people perceive you? I know how you are when we see you, and you've got this wonderful presence, as I said before. You've got this wonderful articulate grace, and you've got a statuesque sort of presence about you, my friend. And I'm curious, when you talk about the racism that you have personally experienced in your later life, let's say, now, the last 15 years or so, I'm curious, how do you think, how do you perceive people looking at you now? I can't imagine anybody coming up and seeing this wonderful man, DTeflon, in front of me, especially dressed and elegant the way you were at the memorial we went to, and thinking anything about
guys,
some
I don't know
racism
like guys,
thing.
so.
No, this is not the issue. I'm talking about a vibe that you project, which you are projecting now. It has nothing to do with the way you're dressed. It has to do with the way you present yourself. And I can't imagine anybody coming up and going, I'm going to inflict some racist attitude against this gentleman, this personality, this man, this person. I'm curious how you have experienced this in the last 10, 15 years of how do people if you've had a bad experience, what do you think happens? Because I don't know anybody who would come up to you and see you that I know and go,
Mhm.
I'm going to have a racist sort of thing against this guy. There's no way you could. You don't project that stuff.
I don't project it, but it's still projected on me. I mean, it's happened from me going to shopping in a store. Like, for example, you know that I'm just like you. I'm heavily into fashion. I love my suits. So, and they're all usually custom. So when I go into a store, you know, you'll get the,
How does that
can I help
present
you, sir?
itself?
And I mean, it presents itself usually in the sense of like, where I'll get an employee that'll say, you know, sir, can I help you? And I'm like, no, I'm good, because I know what I want when I go into a certain store, department store,
Okay.
what I'm going to buy. So for me, it's like if I go into that store, and let's just say, for example, the item is $700, and I walk over to that area, you'll get that employee that will follow me around, even though I've said I'm good. They'll follow me around to the store, and they'll be like, "Are you sure you need some help?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." And I already know in their perception what they're thinking. It's like, you can't possibly be able to afford this, because they look at someone like me and they think already I should be not in a store of this price range. I should be going over to the.
Can I interject something?
Yep.
Interrupt you?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I went to the complete opposite. I went to, this is obviously somebody who can and is going to afford whatever he wants. So I, as the employee, I want to make sure I'm on this gentleman because I think he's going to buy a shitload of stuff. That's where I would go if I looked at you.
Yeah, but you would think that if I walked in there with a suit, if I walked in here dressed like this, which is normally what I do if I go into a mall or something like that, I'm not done up in a three-piece suit. I'm going in more casual, whatever, and I walk in. But they just make that assumption already of like, okay, well, he can't possibly be able to afford this. And I've dealt with this, but
I got to give you your opinion and all, but I would look at you dressed just like you are, and I would go, there's something else going on with this guy. He's.
But that's you, Ron, because you have character and you've been around.
I know.
That's the difference. Not ever, and this is the whole thing. People, this is what the problem is.
But you don't project that, D. You don't project any of that shit. You project. I know. Project wonderful sort of stuff. Everybody commenting, going, "This guy is just a positive energy. He's got a great energy about him." You don't project that stuff. So anyway, we all have our own experiences.
But that's the thing. You don't have. The whole thing is, you don't have to project something for somebody to not like. Okay, the easiest way I can explain it. The biggest problem that we have right now in society, just in general, overall, even when it comes to relationships, is social media. We text each other. We Facebook each other. We comment each other. But nobody actually talks to each other anymore. Like back in the day, if you wanted to connect with somebody, you have to either do it in person. If I wanted to meet up with Ron, I'd have to meet up with Ron in person. We couldn't be doing what we're doing right now. So a lot of things that I tell people, number one, before you judge somebody, assume something about somebody, talk to the person.
Right.
So understand, if I walk into a store, we haven't conversed. The first thing they're seeing is just, as you say, the presence. So they haven't had a chance to communicate. They don't even give you the opportunity to communicate. They've already made up their assumption in their head. And then when it comes to the fact of me pulling out the money and saying, okay, yes, I can afford this, suddenly you see the person's attitude change. And for me, I don't make a production about it because I'm in a store. I don't care. I already know what you're thinking. So I told you, I let people have that misinterpretation. And at the end of the day, if you don't talk to me, I really don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, you don't know me if we haven't spoken.
D,
Like
can I make a
the same way.
suggestion?
Yep,
Can I
yep.
make a not a recommendation, a suggestion? I'm curious because I want to see
Okay.
if this plays out the way I think it might play out. Next time,
Okay.
you, my friend, my dear friend, who I love and
Mhm.
admire your presence and the way you're a little heady with everything, like I am, and I have to fight that sometimes. Being you're constantly analyzing all the stuff and all. Try this, and I
Okay.
want to know what happens the next time you walk into a store and you feel that thing where somebody, you think they're judging you a certain way.
Okay.
Ask them. Go, what are you feeling from this right now? Just like blow them away with a little truth moment of
Okay.
I'm looking for some clothes. What are you feeling right now from me doing this? And I'm curious whether they would be honest enough to go, I was thinking you're probably going to buy a lot of stuff, or I'm just curious what they would say. I'm just
They'd
curious.
probably say nothing, bro. They'd
They-
probably
they-
they'd probably say the politically correct thing they would say. They wouldn't say
They-
because most
you're
people,
most
again,
likely
they don't
right,
say
yeah.
the truth. They wouldn't.
You're most likely right.
Most people. It's like, for example, when this whole situation with George Floyd. I mean, for me, I had friends. Number one, that I've known for years. Now I'm no longer friends with because I saw the racism come out that I didn't even think that they were racist. Because again, it's just like the media, it's just like anything. When George Floyd died, this man had a knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds until he was dead. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. We watched the man get his life taken in front of the entire world. And if that doesn't affect you as a human, not about black, not about white, not about Chinese, not about what creed or color you're from, if it doesn't affect you as a human, then there's something seriously wrong with you. And for me, what angered me about that situation with certain people, number one, was that whenever a person of my color either gets in a situation, either confronted by the police or in that situation, the first thing that someone wants to do is dig up somebody's past to say, well, he was a drug dealer back in 15 years ago, and he did this, or he had a criminal record from this. And the question I always say to people is that because you have a criminal record, does that still make you a criminal for your whole life? Because I know people, number one, that have gone through the system, just like I did when I was younger, and they've turned their life around. Should they have been held with the same brush their whole life when they've made positive changes? They've done positive things for the community. They've done things to make sure that people who are younger in the generation don't make the same mistakes that they do. Should they be crucified for the rest of their life from their past? What makes any person perfect? There is no such thing. So when people constantly use the narrative, well, if he didn't have a criminal past, that wouldn't have happened. Or if he, number one, wasn't here doing this, that wouldn't have happened. Or if he wasn't on drugs, this wouldn't have happened. But it's like we've all known someone who's gone through drug situations, drug abuse. And does that make them a bad person? Does that make them an evil person because they've got a drug problem? If they make a bad decision in life, in their younger days in life, does that make them a bad person for their entire life? No. And this is what happens is that as soon as something happens, people focus on the negative, and then again, with not knowing who that person was. Period. Like, for example, the same situation, Ron. You're loved, and I love you, and you're loved by millions of people all around the world. But the same situation that happened to George Floyd could happen to you, could happen to me, could happen to any person here watching this viewing viewership right now. Any one of us can be in a situation that we woke up one day, planned our whole day out, and then something happens, and our whole day just goes left. And that's why I tell people, number one, is that we don't know what someone has gone through. We don't know what anyone's going through. And the world is such in a fucking divide right now because people have forgot the simple aspect of just being kind, of being kind to each other. Because I've always said, like, when you look at 9/11, 9/11 is what, to me, it's not what's happening right now. 9/11 is what changed everything for the world. That was the day the world completely went like this. But when you look at what happened in New York after those weeks after the towers went down, if 9/11 had happened anywhere else in the entire United States, they'd still be digging themselves out right now. Because 9/11 showed it wasn't about black, it wasn't about white, it wasn't about Muslim, it wasn't about jihad, it wasn't about anything. It was about this tragic event that we have to come together to build. We are only as strong as one unit than divided. But people, for some reason, feel that, okay, well, that person's life is more valuable than another person's life. Or when someone sits there and says, like you said earlier on, you're like, I've been around people, number one, and I've never had to experience, number one, racism, people that I've known, or et cetera, et cetera. And that's fine. That's great. Well, people will sit there and say, well, it doesn't happen either in my area or in my city or in my experience as much. And I always say, forget the as much. It just shouldn't fucking happen, period. We shouldn't even be having the talk about racism. Like Morgan Freeman said, the best way to get rid of racism is to stop talking about it. The best way to get rid of COVID-19 is to stop talking about it. The best way to get rid of the Trumpers versus the non-Trumpers is to fucking stop talking about it. Live your life for you. Make your decisions and live with your decisions and live with your choices. If you make a choice...
Yeah, live your life in a positive way.
Positive way. If you understand, if you make... I told you, everything in life is a choice, Ron. If you make a bad... Everyone makes mistakes. But I tell people all the time, mistakes are only mistakes once. Anything after that, it's a choice. You can fuck up once, but learn from that shit. I've made mistakes and I've learned from them. And that's why when it came to the situations that I've gone into, I didn't ask for them. I didn't ask to get beat up by cops when I was a kid. I didn't ask, the bottom line, to be put in the situations that I've gone through with racism, because nobody asked for that. But I'm not going to pretend like it didn't happen. I just don't talk about them. But when I do talk about them, like I did a couple of weeks ago on that video, because I couldn't believe like that, like seeing what you're seeing on the news. And then for me to go into a store and have somebody berate me like that and feel that they had the power to do so and feel that there was no recourse. Because again, when she played the card, you remember seeing the video where she was like, I'm going to call the police. I was like, call them. I'll wait right here.
Do you feel, D, that people respond that way out of fear?
Yeah.
The fear is a
100%.
big motivational factor.
100%.
And I feel like
Fear
the world the fear is being perpetuated, from my point of view, by the media so much, and it's being done on purpose. Because when people are in fear, you can control them a little better, and you can make them think that things are happening when they may not be happening, but you control them with the fear. My friend, we're gonna wind this up now. This is actually my longest show ever. I'm very sad.
Hope everybody asleep.
I'm very sad that Texas fell out of
Yeah, I
the
know what happened to him.
conversation here. He was, for everybody who tuned in late, Texas was driving about 2 hours to the airport. He was in Texas and he was driving to another place in Texas to go back to where his house is. And you can drive for 2 hours in Texas and be like in a very small portion of Texas. It's amazing, but he had to drop out of the conversation here. Unfortunately, he probably couldn't get back in, but I'm very sad about that. But D, I want to thank you for everything here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I miss you guys, man.
We miss
tell
you
Devin
too.
I said hello.
I hope you're well. She's honest with here. She's been watching the whole thing as well. And everybody, many people have hung with us the whole thing. This has been my longest Ron's Garage ever. But I thought it was very interesting and very enlightening what you were saying, my friend. And I think it's worth everybody hearing. And it's your experience of stuff. And we should continue this conversation another time.
I would love to get, if you want to even see if we can get Texas back on even next week, because I would love to have him as another black man have this conversation to see, number one, like what his experiences are, because he's in Texas, and Texas is it's not an easy state to be a black man in, you know, with especially what's going on down
there. Texas is black. I didn't really see that.
And that's the whole thing. You're not gonna see it. That's why I keep telling people you're not gonna see it, because you don't carry our same color stone. But I mean, to me, dude, you're my brother. I see you the same way as you see me. I see Texas the same way. I don't see color. I just see people, man. I love everybody.
D, I love you. I love you. You're
too,
a great spirit. And thank you so much for joining me this week. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Okay,
you look like you have a beautiful environment there in Florida. That looks amazing.
Yeah, it's a little quiet. It's a little quiet, but it's home.
Let's talk.
I want to get back to LA. I just want to get back to LA. I just want to get back to LA and start filming. Oh my God, dude, I'm dying to go back, be back on the set. I've been, luckily I have other things going on, but right now, man, like I just want to get back to LA and start shooting again, man, because I was good for the first several months, but now it's starting to
get to me.
Yeah,
I can see that. All right, my friend. I love you so much. And please take care. Keep your mindset clear, and we got to get through this, and we're going to get through this.
We will. And I hope to see you guys soon.
D, thank you so much. Everybody's been really positive with your statements and all. So I thank you, and I send you love and blessings.
Love you too, guys. Thank you, guys. Make sure you check out my new series, as I said, Dorner, coming. If you guys want more information on that, follow on Instagram, Dorner American Story. And you can follow me on Instagram at DTeflon, and also on Facebook, DTeflon.
Say the name of the series. Say the name of the series again, because you cut out just for a second. Say the name of the series.
It's Dorner American Crime Story. You can look up dornermovie.com. That's DORNER movie.com. And Instagram, Dorner American Story on Instagram.
And otherwise, they can find you on DTeflon. DTeflon on Instagram. All right, my friend.
Yep. Okay, man.
Be well. Thank you so much. Sending love and blessings to you.
Peace.
All right, you guys. Thanks so much. This has definitely been my longest show. I think that's cool. Even though we have been the longest show, let's try something. First of all, most of you have seen me. It was 9 o'clock when I started here. I'm in Italy, for those of you who don't know. I've been in Italy now for 4 months. Before that, Devin and I were in Belgium for 4 months. So we've technically been away from home for 8 months. and we just finished filming our movie called Surprise Trip here in Puglia. It was amazing. It was not easy by any means. Working in this most amazing time in our world has been a challenge, but we did it and we finished. We had a total filming schedule of 28 days. Now that's 28 days adding weekends and stuff in between. So technically it's been about a month and a week, almost a month and a half. And it's been challenging in many, many ways, but we finished the shooting part, the filming part of it. Now we go into the editing part of it. And I must say, I'm very happy. I'm very happy with what we're getting. I think we've got a real gem of a movie that we are making here, and I'm very, very happy. We've asked you guys, do you like the live shows, the live Ron's Garage shows, as opposed to last week? Last week I had a filmed one that I did with Frank Stallone, and I had to do it because he wasn't available on a Sunday, so we filmed it separately and I edited together, and it was cool. Hopefully you enjoyed that too. I might have to do that sometimes as we go, but we try to keep the schedule constant with the every Sunday, the way we do, 9 o'clock European, 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And for D, it was 3 o'clock for him. But we try to keep that going, and we're kind of making it work, and it's a work in progress always. But so let me finish with something here. I want to also make a shout out to Vera, our lovely Vera, who is always with us. Vera has been having some health issues. Something happened. She fell and all, and she had some health issues. And I just wanted to give a little shout out to Vera and send her love and blessings. And I wanted you guys to help send her some positive energy. She's had some real severe health problems happening. So Vera, we are with you. We're sending you positive vibes and energy and love and blessings to get over all the stuff that you're going through. So everybody send Vera some good energy. Here, hold on a second. I'm gonna do this and come back because I have to go get my guitar. After all this, we're gonna have like a 2-hour show here. Hold on. Okay. This is, I should probably get this back here. Eventually, when I'm in more technical, advantageous situations, I will be able to have everything siphoned into a mixer and do it all properly the way I'd like it to be. But until then, we are the way we are. So I'm going to put the microphone. I'm hoping this will work. This is a song that I'm working on. It's an Italian song, and I love it. I love it, and it's a very old Italian song, and the technical name in Italian is Io che amo solo te. Io che amo solo te. I who only love you. That's what it technically means in English. I who only love you. So I'm just working on this. This is a work in progress. I would like to record this, and I probably will record it next. But the tune and the vibe of the song really, really grabs me. So you guys are seeing the first sort of process of this, of me just getting to know the song and trying it and seeing how it works. So I will let you see that process. I'm going to put the microphone right there. And let's see how it works. Okay. Hopefully it will come across in the microphone. Io che amo solo te. I have to plug in. Trying to remember all the technical stuff involved. Here we go. C'è gente che ha avuto mille cose. Tutto il bene, tutto il male del mondo. Io ho avuto solo te. Non ti perderò, non ti lascerò. Per cercare nuove avventure. C'è gente che ama mille cose. E se perde per le strade del mondo. Io che amo solo te. Io mi fermerò e te regalerò quello che resta della mia gioventù. Io che amo solo te. I hope you guys loved that. I hope you guys heard it okay. It's always a challenge. But I'm working on this song. I really love it. And it's just one of those kind of haunting things for me. So I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for hanging in there so long. I know it was a long show. Some of you I saw had to go to bed to do other things. But I love you guys. Thanks so much. Keep your sanity in this crazy ass world. And I send you love and blessings. We'll be back next week. Since I finished the film, there's a good chance we'll be able to do it on time. And I send you guys all love and blessings. I saw all of your nice comments. I saw all the stuff going on, and I thank you so much. Share, share, share. Share on YouTube, share on Facebook. I really appreciate it. And Devin and I will be here for the next 3 weeks or so. Yeah. We're planning to come back the beginning of November, like November 5th. We'll see, because we're juggling with plane flights and all, and everything's kind of up in the air. I was really going to say that, wasn't I? Plane flights up in the air. We had a flight canceled, so we have to arrange our other flights to get back. But we're doing it, so we will let you know. Otherwise, we'll be here or wherever I am. We'll do it again. Love you guys. Be well. Have a wonderful Sunday. You are blessed. And if we are healthy, we have everything. And there again, send Vera some good healing vibes. Love you guys so much. Ciao.